Let's talk facts. The Avengers are not coming.
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
God, thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. So Thunderbolts is officially on its way, and if you're not too familiar with them, don't worry, you've clicked on the right video. Today we're diving deep into the comic books to uncover everything you need to know about the team, the characters, and their surprising origins. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, let's take it back to 1996. Marvel dropped Onslaught, a massive crossover event that changed the landscape of the Marvel Universe. Without going too deep into it, because we're not here for an Onslaught breakdown, the Avengers were presumed dead after the event. That left Earth in a serious bind, without its greatest heroes. Marvel, of course, had a solution. The Thunderbolts. Created by Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley, the Thunderbolts made their first appearance in Incredible Hulk issue number 449 in January 1997. To the public, they were the next big thing, a team of new heroes, ready to step up and save the day. But in a shocking twist, the Thunderbolts were actually the masters of evil in disguise. Led by the mastermind himself, Baron Zemo, they were villains pretending to be heroes. So what was Zemo's plan? Well, after the Avengers were taken out of the picture, Zemo realized that it was the perfect time for him and his villainous crew to step in as Earth's new defenders. They donned new identities and costumes and quickly won the public's trust, becoming New York's go-to heroes. The best part? They gained access to weaponry and classified intel. That would have been out of their reach when they were villains. But you know, Zemo wasn't just satisfied with being a good guy. He had bigger plans. His goal was still world domination, and he was using the Thunderbolts as his stepping stone. However, things didn't go exactly as planned, as the team gained popularity and fought alongside heroes like Spider-Man. The truth about Zemo's intentions started to unravel. The Thunderbolts turned on him, rejecting their leader's plan and exposing his betrayal. Zemo barely escaped with his life, and in the aftermath, he retreated to South Africa, plotting his revenge. But that didn't work out either. Zemo's relationship with the Thunderbolts was always complicated. Over the years, he'd returned to lead the team, but it never really lasted. His constant back and forth between hero and villain made him a dangerous figure, but it also made him incredibly hard to trust. Now let's talk about the actual members of the Thunderbolts, the ones who made up the original team. The first person we've got to mention is none other than Baron Zemo himself. Zemo was the leader, and while he didn't have superpowers, his genius-level intellect, masterful hand-to-hand combat skills, and expertise in deception made him a formidable leader. His delayed aging, thanks to Compound X, kept him around longer than most. He always was a step ahead, especially when it came to manipulation. Then there's Eric Justin, also known as Atlas. Originally a low-level enemy of the Avengers, Eric was a former US Army member who had his strength enhanced by PIM particles. After being recruited by Zemo, Eric became Atlas, a giant with the ability to increase his size and strength. Although he initially fought for Zemo's cause, he eventually realized the value of doing good and started to form meaningful connections, even becoming close to a fellow team member. There were times when he was mind-controlled and reverted to his villainous ways. But for the most part, Eric stayed on the path of redemption. Next up, we've got Abner Jenkins, aka Mock. Before joining the Thunderbolts, Abner was known as the Beetle. Abner was a former aircraft mechanic who turned to crime, creating his own Beetle armor. After being recruited by the Masters of Evil, he reworked his suit, became Mach 1, and eventually realized he enjoyed being a hero. Even though he didn't have superpowers, his suit granted him flight, advanced weaponry, and high-tech capabilities. He switched from villain to hero, though, and even went back to prison to serve his time for past crimes. Then there's Meteorite, aka Moonstone. She's a former psychiatrist who turned to a life of supervillainy, and her story is pretty wild. After taking on the Moonstone gem, she gained superhuman strength, speed, stamina, durability, gravity manipulation, and light manipulation. She was recruited by Zemo for the Masters of Evil, and later joined the Thunderbolts. During her time with the team, she switched between hero and villain several times. Songbird, aka Melissa Joan Gold, is another standout member. Before becoming Songbird, she went by the name Screaming Mimi and had a career as a wrestler. She had sonic powers that allowed her to create destructive, sound-based attacks. Songbird was also a founding member of the Thunderbolts and, over time, grew to embrace the hero role, forming a romantic relationship with Mach 1. She went on to become one of the most consistent members, even working with Luke Cage when he took over the team. And finally, we have Citizen V. It all started in World War II, when John Watkins, a British soldier, became the original Citizen V and led the V Battalion against Nazi forces in occupied France until he was killed by Heinrich Zemo, the father of future villain Helmut Zemo. Years later, the name Citizen V resurfaced, but this time it was Helmut Zemo in disguise, using the heroic identity to lead the Thunderbolts. When Zemo was exposed and seemingly decapitated, his mind survived and took over the body of John Watkins III, the great-grandson of the original Citizen V. The title changed hands a few more times, even landing with Dallas Reardon, who later became paralyzed, but eventually John Watkins III reclaimed the mantle, this time as the true Citizen V, free from Zemo's control. Now, the Thunderbolts weren't just limited to the original team. Over the years, the roster expanded and many former villains became part of the squad. Characters like Jolt, a teenager with electrical powers, Hawkeye, who became the leader at one point, Charcoal, who was part of a creative villain competition. His power was controlling fire and creating carbon objects like diamonds, and Amazon, formerly known as Mankiller, with strength and agility powers, all became notable members. By 2004, the Thunderbolts had gone through a complete restructuring, but their story didn't stop there. Their legacy kept growing, bringing in some big names along the way, like Luke Cage, Ant-Man, and even Bucky Barnes. What started as a group of villains pretending to be heroes evolved into one of Marvel's most important and complex teams. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a future video.